Hello and welcome to the Vision-Led Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Fugate. I'm a wellness educator and visionary leader, and I am on a mission to remind you that your intuition is always guiding you to your divine purpose. You were born at this time for a very important reason, and the time is now to shine in your truth. On the show, we talk about listening to your intuition, cultivating a successful mindset, next level leadership, and conscious capitalism. If you are new here, welcome. You are in the right place if you are a visionary leader ready to up-level your health and live in line with your true calling. I could not be more excited about the guest today. Her name is Tiffany Carter, the Tiffany Carter. She is a multi-millionaire entrepreneur. She's a top business coach and host of the ProjectME with Tiffany Carter The Podcast. So Tiffany is a friend of mine. It's not often that I also get to chat with a friend on this podcast. So this could go off the rails, not a warning, meaning it's exciting and you should share this podcast with everybody because I know it's going to be so good. So I met Tiffany in a support group that we're both in, and we have become what feels to me like fast friends. And I have definitely binged on her podcast, which is so good. And what I love about Tiffany's offering is that she is no bullshit, straight shooter. There is no difference. Like even, you listen to a podcast and you can hear the difference between the recorded intro and the actual podcast. Like you can't tell with your podcast. So anyway,
really? That's good.
You can't tell. It's just Tiffany is Tiffany, no matter what state you get her in. And that I feel is so important, especially in a coach, because you want to know that they're going to tell you the truth. So welcome to the podcast, Tiffany.
Well, that was a fun intro. That is true. Like, I just don't have the ability to be fake, which is interesting because I lived a majority of my life being somewhat fake. And I knew I was fake, but I didn't realize it was obvious I was fake. I'm sure maybe it was to other people, and I just can't do it anymore. It's exhausting.
Yeah, I used to completely be like that. Like I would get back to the hotel room after a big event and I'd be like, oh, I can finally be me. And it's so exhausting, but it's also scary when you decide to switch and it's like, are they going to like the real me? Like, are people going to resonate with me? Are people going to be mad at me? I love having friends like you in my life who exemplify that because it is still something I'm relearning. How do I show up? Just me. There doesn't have to be, I don't have to put a mask on or a different face on. There isn't like business me and then behind closed doors me, but I'm still learning.
I do think that we create characters for these different parts of our lives. Like this is like when you do mommy drop off, like carpool drop off. This is mom me. This is corporate me. This is wife me. This is me with my friends. And then the real me is like somewhere buried in there. And I think it all centers around people pleasing. Really. I think it's all around people pleasing and codependency and these wild beliefs that we pick up in childhood and society and life where oh my God, my mom friends, they can't know that, I swear and I like to, go to the club still, or I like to dance, or I only eat, like I feed my kids McDonald's 3 times a week. Like they can't know that. No. And then, so we start hiding these parts of ourselves because we think we need to hide them in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, in order to be adored, in order to be appropriate, in order to not offend, in order to be included, all the shit. And no wonder why most of us are walking around so tired and depleted and just want a moment and want to like go and like disappear on an island for a month and not have to do anything, because then we can just be.
Yeah. And the magic is, what I'm learning is, once I find out who my true authentic self is, or I like let her out of the closet, she's already there. Once I let her out of the closet, people fucking love it. Not everybody, right? You're going to trigger some people and they're going to be like, no way. But the people who love it, like your people, they just completely resonate with you. But I had a panic attack 2 days ago because I wanted to do this challenge in my business, and I wanted to do it a way that maybe I've never done it before. And I was completely freaking out because I thought people were going to get mad at me. And it was the first time I could see it, because normally I just wouldn't do the challenge. I'd be like, oh, that people are going to get mad at me, I'm not going to do it. And in this moment, I was like, you're just afraid that people aren't going to like you, or they're going to get mad at you. And it's like, it's actually okay. It's okay for people to get mad at you or not like you, because there's going to be this whole other group of people who are like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you.
That's how we then draw in more people who are really meant for us. Is we've got to be willing to let go of the people who are no longer meant for us. And the best way to do that is by being yourself 100%, saying yes when you mean yes, saying no when you mean no, trusting your intuition on doing a challenge a certain way, or something you really want to post, or something you have to say. Then you are going to weed those people out. Those were really never your people, and they're weighing you down anyway. I had to get to a point where I just chose me, where I was like, I'm choosing me. And if people don't like it, if I lose clients, if I lose quote unquote friends, whatever, if I lose people, because I'm being myself and I know I'm a good person, right? It's not like I'm trying to do evil things to people and they're not into it. Well, then, then we weren't really supposed to be in each other's lives. And it's the opposite of what we fear is going to happen happens. As soon as I had that moment in my living room about 4 years ago, I started ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and the business coaching brand, about 4.5 years ago. The first 6 months of it, I was newscaster job interview Tiffany. I had a makeup artist come in for all my videos. I hired Brendan Bouchard's video team, spent $15,000. I made sure I didn't swear. I stood up straight and was very polished. I was a newscaster, and I am a former TV newscaster, so it was not a hard role for me to play. And I thought I had to be that for people to trust me with their money and their time. See, I know what I'm talking about. I'm a professional.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think people would trust me with their time, lean into me, see that I do know what I'm talking about. If I was this Tiffany that's sitting in front of you now with no makeup on and wearing a bathrobe. Yes, this is, and I just like coach someone wearing a bathrobe. And guess what? She didn't care. She didn't go, God, that's like so unprofessional. I'm paying Tiffany thousands and thousands of dollars and she's in a bathrobe. Do you really care what someone is wearing? Unless, of course, they're showing up on a TV show or something, but do you really care as long as that person is delivering the goods? I really don't care.
Yeah.
So,
no.
And in that living room, I was so tired. Here I created this second business in order to have fun, in order to help people, in order to have a creative outlet, in order to feel free. And I created a self-imposed prison for myself by telling myself I have to be all these things in order for it to be successful. And I said, fuck it. I go, you know what? This isn't worth it. And I'm going to experiment. And I'm going to show up exactly as I am every day. So I'm still going to show up. I'm going to show up exactly as I am every day. And I'm going to experiment for a year. And if that doesn't catch and it's not a vibe and it's not a thing, then at least I know I did it. And if it does catch and it is a thing, I'm going to teach millions of other women how to do it so they can set themselves free and make a shit ton of money being exactly who they are. And it caught. My business grew by about 800% within 6 weeks.
Wow.
And my engagement and everything. Who wants to see another newscaster?
Right. No.
Who wants to see another cookie cutter network marketer? I mean, aren't we bored of this?
We're bored. We're bored, and people are so attuned to being sold that the minute you turn on that, like, I don't even know what it is, like sales, psychology, slickness, you're putting on a thing, they're like, oh, you're trying to sell me. But if you have something to teach, which you absolutely do, everyone does. Everyone has something to teach. I believe this. I believe that every single person has lived through something and they could teach someone that. So if you have something of value to teach and then you show up authentic, like it's a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh, this person, sure, they have something to sell me, but they're not like trying to pull one over on me.
Right. It's not like they're not coming from the what can I get from you energy. It's a true like service energy. I mean, you taught me how to huff some peppermint oil. It's been game changing, by the way. I was not expecting that, you guys. I texted Erin and I was like, my sinuses are like off the chart. And I go, and I have all the things, right? I've got all the oils. And I go, should I use like just peppermint? I kind of just like stick it up my nose. Like that's been my thing. And she was like, here's what you're going to do. And she sent me a video to like huff the oil. I'm like, this bitch is wild. I'm like, this is funny, but that's you.
That's me. Yeah, 100%. And I didn't. Okay. So social media, I think a lot of people don't show up on social media because they're like, I don't have my makeup on, or I don't have my, and I probably sent you a video in my like mom messy bun, hadn't washed my
I don't
hair.
even know what you're wearing. I didn't care because you were helping me. Right. You were helping me. I didn't care how you showed up. I don't even remember, meaning not in a rude way, but
Yeah, right.
like we think people are looking at that. And here's something interesting that's gonna, you guys, that's gonna like make you go, oh shit. If we're in a ton of self-judgment and we're like scrolling social media or even looking at people like in our team or people who do something similar to us and we're kind of picking them apart, well, no wonder you're going to think that people are going to do that to you because you're being critical of others. You're being self-critical. So of course you're going to attract people who are self-critical and assume people are going to be critical of you. But when you step into just going, you know what, I'm going to give myself permission to show up as I am. Maybe I have zits. Maybe I have makeup on. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm a disaster. Maybe I'm in a bad mood. Maybe I'm in a great mood. Whatever it is, and you're in that self-acceptance, you're no longer going to have that feeling of what will they think? What are they going to do? What are they seeing? What are they looking at? It goes away because you're not doing it to yourself and other people. I was crazy self-critical. I was so envious of people, whether it was like in real life, like when I had a corporate job, I was so envious of people who seemed joyous and free. I was so envious and I'd be like, oh, well, it's because she has a rich husband or, oh, it's because she's like naturally really skinny. I mean, I really thought these things. I was definitely envious and I was so self-critical, like deep in my exercise and workaholism. So of course, why would I show up as myself? I created a world where that wouldn't be safe because I was actually doing what I was afraid would be done to me.
That's so true. So true. If you're so worried that people are going to judge you, it's really like, who are you judging? And do you feel like it switches if you consciously go, I'm going to stop myself from judging people?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah, it's a lot less. And I do slip into it sometimes, especially when I'm up leveling, like we talked about, you know, before we started the interview, where I am going to another level in my business and in my life. And I've just done a lot of heavy work around that. And so when we're going to that other level, our egos are going to try to pull us back and keep us right where we're at. And I caught myself even this morning. I started, instead of doing my like daily practice of connecting with God, and I read like daily readers and devotionals, and I have a whole thing I do. Instead of doing that, what was I doing? I was laying in bed scrolling. And then I started going, "Ugh, she has her book out. I still haven't done my book. Oh my God. She's speaking at this event, and I didn't put myself on the roster for that event. I should have done that." Thankfully I caught myself, but I was doing it for 10 minutes. Of course I felt like crap because I was in the scroll hole. And that was just that natural pattern of that ego just trying to keep me from rising, keeping me from rising, keeping me from rising. And sometimes I have to consciously say, stop, we're not doing that anymore. I have to say it out loud sometimes I have to do a pattern interrupt is what I call it. So sometimes a pattern interrupt could be taking a shower. Like for me today, my pattern interrupt was, nope, stop. And I went and brushed my teeth, fed my dog, walked my dog. I had to do some other task and do something else. Otherwise, I would have just kept staying in that energy of I'm not enough and shame hitting myself over and over and over again.
And I feel like you were talking about this on one of your podcast episodes that I listened to recently, and it's with social media. Social media is amazing. It's a great place to make money. It's a great place to connect. I love social media, but it's hypnotizing you. It's programming your subconscious mind. And you said in your podcast, you're like, don't follow people in your same industry, because you're saying it was like some kind of creative, like you might inadvertently copy them. And it got me thinking about something, and now you're bringing it up again, which is, if we're going to be on social media and we're going to be content creators, it is self-care to actually audit your feed, set yourself up for success. So something I do is, if I'm scrolling or I'm on there and somebody posts something that triggers that thing for me, I unfollow them, because I'm like, oh, no. I'm not even going to let that be in my feed. And it can be hard. When I log into my social media, I'm going to the office. So, but at the office, I'm being sold to, being exposed to triggers. And boy, you really have to set those systems into place. So I love the pattern interrupt. And then I also just curate and audit my feed. And something I did many years ago, and it's still I break my rules sometimes, but I made my bedroom a no technology zone.
Ooh.
That morning scroll, that
the morning scroll is the worst. I would say that is the worst. Morning or before bed scroll.
Yep.
I don't look at after, I would say, unless it's like I'm at an event or something, I would say after 7 at night for sure, maybe even 6. No phone, no social media. I can watch TV, but not Pinterest, not nothing. No,
Yeah.
I can't do it, because do I want to take, like you said, that we're being subconscious programming. Do I want to take that into my deep REM sleep and have that sink in? No. And then waking up in the morning, I understand, right? I have 2 businesses. I do have to pick up my phone. It is my alarm. And I do need to do a quick scan, at least of my texts, if there's some urgent matter. But after that, I don't need to look. It is conscious that I'm going and tapping that Instagram button or that TikTok button. And you see yourself doing that. Or you've caught yourself, or maybe you didn't catch yourself this time because it's new to you. I want you to ask yourself, why, out of curiosity, why did I go and tap on that? What was I looking for?
Mm-hmm.
And really, we're getting a way to feel bad about ourselves. There's an addiction to that. I have my core default emotion is shame. So I'll go after shame hits subconsciously. I don't always catch myself, and I'll go after it. I made a phone call to a friend of mine today. That again, remember, I said I'm in a spot where I'm like going to another level. So likely, many of you listening are in that spot too, or you're wanting to like expand your business or go after something new or really do it this time. Even if it's a personal goal, you're going to be fucking tested. And I am vibrating at a whole nother level where I'm getting these incredible opportunities, high visibility opportunities, which, Aaron, I have resistance I've had to work through on that because my mom's a narcissist and I don't want to be a narcissist, right? But if you're worried about being a narcissist, you're not one, because narcissists don't go, I'm really concerned about being a narcissist.
I have the same conversation in my head. I'm like, am I a narcissist? Oh my God. And then it's like, I don't think you really think about it.
Exactly. Like, believe me, they're not, that's the last thing that's on their mind. And I picked up the phone. I got offered an opportunity to be on a TV show. Not as an actor, but just, like a reality thing. And I was excited by that offer. And I don't have all the details and I might not fucking accept the offer. I have no idea. And I picked up the phone and called someone out of excitement, but I didn't catch myself. There was a moment, and I know every single person listening, everyone has done this. You might have done it today. And if I look back, there was a beat of a moment going, I don't think you should maybe you don't need to tell anyone about this yet. It was like a beat. I'm talking like a second. And I did it anyway. And this person did not express any form of positivity around it at all. And what do you think that did? Made me feel like crap and went into shame. So subconsciously, I was seeking out shame. And then I had another thing I had to unpack. I already did the scroll hole. I was unpacking that. Now I had to unpack and unravel another shame hit I went for subconsciously.
So here's a question, because we were talking about that voice that comes in. And there's two voices. There's the intuition that's looking out for you that says, do you really need to tell that person? Is that a good idea? And then there's the other voice that's telling you to do the thing that gives you the shame hit. Have you found a way to tell the difference between the two voices?
Okay. Oh, this is such a great question. Yes. It's a matter of how present and conscious I am, or if I'm in dissociation land, right? If I'm constantly busy doing multitasking, being a spaz, being productive, or if I've taken time to slow the hell down and be present and still and quiet. So I miss it if I'm not in that spot. For me, intuition, there's a certainty in it and it feels good in my body. It's like almost like a soothing, like a soothing type of a voice, like almost like a very loving grandfather, it's not like, you shouldn't call this person. It's like, maybe, perhaps this isn't a good idea. It's like that. Whereas that other voice going for the shame hit has almost like a fear and frantic energy. Like, you have to do this. Like, like I said, I am in recovery for being a workout addict, exercise addict, which I know sounds weird, but it's a thing, and workaholism. And both of those addiction centers in my brain were going off today because I didn't work out all week. I had ice cream twice this week. I wanted to work out yesterday morning. I didn't feel like it. This morning, I didn't feel like it again. So that brain was shaming me. It wasn't like a soothing voice of, Tiffany, you should really maybe go work out today. That would be a lovely thing to do for yourself. No, it was, you're going to become fat. You ate ice cream twice. You need to work out. What are you going to do? Because if you only have a couple days left in the week and then you're not going to get your workouts in, it's forceful, it's pushy, and it doesn't feel good.
You're so right. And what I'm recognizing in myself as you're talking is the grandma soothing grandparent voice, I kind of disregard, but the other voice sends me into like trauma response. It's like, oh shit, like I got to take action, where I'll be like, oh, grandma, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you're nice and cute. But the other thing that happens for me is grandma's voice isn't really attached to the choice I make. She's kind of like, well, that would be, might not be a good idea to pick up the phone. But if you do, she just kind of goes, okay, that's the choice you make. Where the other voice is like, you need to fucking work out. Like, what's wrong?
It's insistent and shouting at you what to do versus a suggestion, right? Versus that suggestion. But I can see why, yeah, you instantly, someone shouting at you, like, especially if you were raised in a dysfunctional home or in a toxic relationship, it's like, you're going to go, oh, I better do it, or I'm going to get in trouble. I've got to do it. And the other voice is like, well, let's just, maybe think about this for a moment. That's really the voice that we need to listen to.
I'm going to get curious with that voice today. I'm just going to see what happens if I kind of go, what'd you say? What are you talking about? Like, what if I gave her some attention? Where would
that's a great idea.
Mm.
And I don't like a lot of times what this loving voice says, because I'm like, well, you don't get it. Like, you don't know. I will argue again, but it's my ego arguing.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, do you see how busy I am? How could I possibly take a nap right now? You clearly don't understand my life. Or that voice is kind of like, it might be really good for you to take, a nap. Why don't we go take a nap? And I'm just like, stop. But what if I leaned into that? What might happen?
Yeah, even if you experiment, experiment with it for half a day. Mm-hmm. Or one day or something, just experiment. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? There really isn't. Like, just experiment, because the other way is how I lived my entire life. And I literally almost died more than one time from following that, because we can't keep up with that voice. That's wildness. That's like frantic, frenzied fear, insane energy, and it's never satisfied, that voice.
No, it isn't. And it can trick you, because there's been times when that voice has gotten me to start a new aspect of my business or start a new project, all these things that I think are good, and I think it's intuition or that I'm being guided. But really, if I look back, it was like that scary voice going, you better do something, you better jump. And then I get all caught up in that. And I think it's easy then to miss those true God shots, those true guidance points.
This is a great example. So right now I have an incredible new program that I definitely want to put out in the world for sure. I am not yet sure I've not been able to discern which voice is where it's coming from, ego versus like divine guidance. And I have there's thoughts of, well, what the sweet spot is. This is the sweet spot time of year where you make, a crap ton of money online, and now is the time to do it. And why wouldn't you do it? Are you being ungrateful and not wanting to help more people, and then not wanting to have more money and not wanting to have more abundance? And then there's the other side of me that's like, I really don't want to do much for the rest of the year. Like, maybe I want to work on my book. And I haven't been able to discern that. So there's two things I do when I'm in that. And that's where you hear a lot of people say to you, I'm confused, I'm stuck, I don't know where to start. It's all bullshit. You're actually not confused and stuck and don't know where to start. It's because those two voices, you're not able to discern between the two. So you pick up the phone and you talk it out. It has to be someone, though, who's trusted, who's done work. Like a coach, even a therapist, or Aaron, like someone who's done the work that can help you discern it. It's much easier to discern those voices in someone else's shit than your own. I can't, if I do it on my own, my default is to not listen as you say to grandma. That's my default. So I reach out. And the other thing I do is I pause. If I'm not sure, if it's like not a hell yes or a hell no, then maybe I need to like pause on it. And that can feel scary because it's like, especially in business, it's like, well, you've got to create a page. You got to create a sign up page for this, and you've got to start getting emails for this. And you're going to have to like tell your team about this. So you can't just keep waiting, Tiffany. You can't keep waiting. I mean, the longer you wait, 1 week is going to go by. It's like, when I say pause, this doesn't mean you're pausing for like a year. I can pause for the rest of this week and get still and trust that that answer will come, and ask for a sign and trust that that will come, and I'll get guidance and support in that. But if I don't do that and I just forced it, you know what's happened? And this can be as simple as it being like posting a video on Instagram. If we post from a place where the energy isn't clear and clean, it never does well. And I know you've had to have done it too. I've posted totally out of, I got to get something up there. I got to post something. This has to get up, or my views have been down and now I'm chasing the views. And then my views just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Haven't you noticed like the less effort you put in, the better your stuff does?
Yeah. Oh, this happens on TikTok because, on TikTok, you have to be
real.
You have to be real, and you have to like find the thing that you want to talk about there. And when I talk about manifesting on TikTok, I get tons of followers and so many likes, but it's not the thing that I think I should be talking about on TikTok. So then I'll go to switch and it'll be crickets. Nobody will do anything. They won't, I won't get likes, I won't get follows. And I don't know, it's kind of like mystical. It's kind of like mystical social media. Like you actually do have to take that space to make sure that you're in the right energy and you're being authentic, like we've been talking about. And I know it's important in business to know what your niche is and be clear about your messaging. All of that's important, but you also have to like vibe with what you're saying.
Yeah. If you're not like obsessed with that subject matter. And I think that's been my resistance to TikTok, as you and I've talked about, is I went on and I finally, went on and did the thing, and I went viral right away. And it was for talking about how I left corporate and I did a side hustle. And in 6 months, I left and it was matching my salary. And I went off on some tangent about the lie of saying, oh, benefits. And I was so worried about losing my benefits, and that went viral. So then I felt strangled. Now all I can do when I go on there is keep telling my story about how I left corporate. And now I'm talking about benefits. Like, what? I'm not an insurance agent. I mean, I got hundreds of questions about insurance plans. I was like, what? And then I freaked the hell out, and I haven't gone back. And it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, if that's not what I want to talk about, and even if that's what those people want, it's still not going to work. So what? So I can go on and talk about pickles if that's my thing. Like I can go on and talk about pickles, and I might lose people, right? Those people, but they need to be lost because I do not want to talk about insurance.
Yeah. Like you can't let yourself be pulled into that. That's happened to me in my business many times, where it's like, oh, this is what the people want me to do. And then if you follow that, it's so draining to do what everybody wants from you. It's almost like, I almost feel like I'm being used. If me putting myself in that position, but it's like, well, I got to give you what you want. I have this thing that you want. And then at the end of the day, I'm depleted because I'm not giving the world what I want to give the world. And so then I'm not even meeting my soul clients because I'm not even speaking the language that they would hear.
Right. And if we aren't being genuine and true to ourselves, we're going to attract people who aren't genuine.
Yes. This is like the mystics of business.
It really is. And some of the stuff would have sounded I would have laughed at this, like even 6, 7 years ago. And I was, I've been a longtime student of law of attraction and manifestation, and I would have gotten it, but I also would have laughed.
Yeah.
I would have been like, okay, well, business has, there's more strategy. And yes, there absolutely is strategy involved. But if you ignore this part, no amount of strategy. I could write you a multi-million-dollar proven business plan and it won't work if you ignore, like you said, like the mystics of business.
This is so fun, Tiffany. You won't believe that we're like at the hour.
I see what time it. We still have time if there's something you want to ask me. I see what time it is.
It's so good. So can you tell us just a little bit about how you even got to this point where I feel like you have a very aligned business. You're authentically you, you're showing up the way you want to. What was the process that got you from not there to here?
I had to jump in and start doing things, so when I left corporate, the business that I chose to create that I still have made sense because homegirl had to pay the bills. Okay. So I created a digital marketing and branding agency that specializes in the pharmaceutical, medical, and health supplement industries because my corporate career is in pharmaceuticals. So I already had relationships built with people that I could ask, to hire me and stuff like that. And intellectually is very stimulating. It's a very lucrative industry. But then it started sucking my soul because even though I was working for myself, I'm still in that corporate world, right? And it was like, I still didn't love it, but I liked the income from it. And I liked the intellectual part, the strategy, all of that. So that's when I was like, my dream for a long time, I had it for 10 years, was to create ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and the business coaching brand. I resisted it for 10 years. That's how fast time can go by. You resist it now, right? Now we're at the end of 2022. How many of you still have not done the damn thing? And I'm not saying it to put you down. I get it. I'm just warning you. 1 year, and then you tell yourself you'll do it in 2023. And then before you know it, that's over. I did this for 10 years and I had the money in the bank. There's no excuse. I just had self-doubt. I said, who would listen to me when they could listen to like Tony Robbins? Like, why would someone listen to me? Like, yeah, I'm successful and I know what I'm doing, but there's other people who are more successful and are more dynamic and are prettier or whatever, and don't have an annoying voice. Cause I know I have a unique tone in my voice and I cringe when I listen back to it. So I did all of that stuff. But at a certain point, I went, this dream hasn't left my heart. It's here for a reason. I need to trust it. And I do everything, like I said earlier, it's like an experiment. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do this. I started where it was 6 months of like podcasting. I was like, I'm going to do 6 months. And then if it's not a go, then I'm out. Well, 6 months, how invested are you really? If you're like, I'm going to give my business 6 months, like, would you invest in the business? Like if you were on Shark Tank and you were a shark, would you invest in someone's business that they're like, well, we're going to give it about 6 months? It's pure insanity. And I was like, I'll give it 6 months. Cause when you podcast, you have a producer and stuff that costs money. And I was not someone who had like out of the gate wild success, even though I'm a professionally trained broadcaster. I didn't. And I didn't have any Instagram account to drive traffic or a YouTube or an email list to drive traffic to it. I didn't have any friends that were podcasters. I had no celebrity friends that were hooking me up. And it was very slow. And I almost quit at 6 months. And then I had to really have a talk with myself. And it's like, all right, I'm going to give myself a year. And it has to be that true all in for a year. I'm going to show up, whether one person's listening, whether a million people are listening. I'm going to give myself a full year. And if I haven't seen, like, it doesn't have to be wild success, but if I haven't seen, upward progression where there's movement and growth, then at least I can say to myself, I gave it my all. I can at least tell I can be at peace with that, even though it'll suck, but I can be at peace with that. As soon as I had that conversation, it was like something, the mystics of business, right? The universe opened, and my show right after that 6-month mark totally exploded. It was almost like it's not magic. It's really what happened is my energy shifted. I wasn't trying to force it, squeeze it, suffocate it, control it. I let go, and I was not focused on the results and how much money I made and if I got sponsors and how many downloads I had. I just trusted that I'm going to show up and do the best I can out of service any given day and do my part, and actually, be present and do the thing and let go of the rest. And that's a much more magnetic and attractive energy than what a gross energy of, oh, no one signed up. No one bought. I didn't get anyone. Oh, this month was terrible. Oh, this is my 3rd month in a row where no one da 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 da. Well, God, that is really, wow. So that's all about you. That's really not about service. But then people go, well, Tiffany, I have to make money. So yes, I understand that. So now you're thinking if you control it and you squeeze it and you force it and you worry and you obsess, then you're going to make money. No, now you repel the abundance that you want. This is why you can't do business alone. You can't do this stuff alone. You just can't, because if we're left to our own minds, you'll quit.
I'm just a little like, I'm having so many light bulbs go off right now, because sometimes people ask me how I've been successful in network marketing. And it's almost like they get mad at me when I tell them what it is, because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's just simply, I show up every day knowing that there's somebody I'm going to help today. And I don't think about the commission. I mean, you can't, like in network marketing, I make like $2 off of every sell I make. So you might be like, oh, you can't make money doing that. But the thing is, once I start having 50,000 people who I'm making $2 off, but the only way that you can like get traction with that is what you're talking about, where you just show up to serve and you have to trust, whether it's a higher power or it's the universe or it's God or the collective consciousness. There like has to be this trust of, I have it on my heart and I'm going to put it out there. And then what you said about controlling it, I think is so key, because I know when I started this podcast, I was like, what if I do it wrong? What if it's not right? And every little word like has to be right. But as I've grown into it, the more and more I just kind of go, Mom, I'm just going to show up and talk about what I think.
And you can't do it wrong.
You can't do it wrong
when you're coming from this place of service.
But you do need those, like, you do need the guides, you need the business strategy, you need to learn. Like, I don't show up in sales having never taken a sales course.
Right. That would be, I mean, you can try that way. It'll take you a long time to have success doing it that way.
It's like you have to do that thing that they say about when you're a great artist, you spend all this time learning about your tools and your trade, and then you like throw away all the rolls. So I kind of see it that way, like train on whatever your thing is, hire coaches, go to the programs. But then when you're ultimately like posting the video or having the one-to-one, you have to just let go and show up to serve.
Yeah, I say it's when strategy, creativity, and intuition all come together. That's when you're going to be successful. I mean, I have 3 coaches at any given time. If I didn't, I would have quit many times over again.
I feel like a lot of people don't know that about successful business owners. Like,
I don't know any multi-millionaire. And my old coach, who's more of like a traditional old school, like executive coach, he's worth 100 million. I don't know anyone who's highly successful who doesn't have multiple coaches.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. And it's not just coaches. It's like
therapists.
And therapists.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Like they get regular massage. I get everything. I have a full pit crew going on.
It's awesome. It's kind of the fun part of it too. I love that the more I take care of myself, the more I can serve. It's the gift of entrepreneurship, I think. That's one of the reasons I got into this business, was like I needed that accountability of you have to take care of yourself. And it was the perfect type of business for me, where like, actually, if I'm not, it's not that I have to be in a great mood every day, but if I'm not taking care of myself and I show up to work with a customer or a client, it shows and it doesn't vibe. Okay, so tell us, we're at the end of our call here. And before we end, I have my first sponsor. Like, I'm so excited. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing with podcasting, but it's starting to work out and it's fun. So I got sent this stuff. It's called Magic Mind. And it is a drink that is matcha, adaptogens like ashwagandha. It's got lion's mane and cordyceps, which are mushrooms. And you drink it either with your coffee. You don't have, it doesn't like get rid of coffee, or you drink it right before you do a podcast or before you work on a project. And it opens up all your like mind sensors. It helps you be more alert, more creative, like get into flow state. And it will help you if you wanted to cut back on your coffee addiction. So I love coffee. I'm not cutting back on my coffee addiction. Do you like coffee, Tiffany?
Obsessed.
Yeah. So that's never going to go away. But I love herbs and I love mushrooms, not magic mushrooms. I mean, there was a time that I liked magic mushrooms, not anymore. So I love stuff that I can take that's natural, that's going to help me perform better. I've only been on 3 days of this stuff and I love the way it makes me feel. They're sending me a 15-day supply. So I am going to tell you all more as it comes. They're sending you some samples, Tiffany. So can't wait to hear what you think.
Ooh.
And you can go to magicmind.co, not .com, .co/VLL. And you get, what are they giving you? 20% off one-time order, 40% off a subscription. So go check it out and tell me what you think. And I will let you know how my journey goes with Magic Mind. So Tiffany, as we come to the end of this episode, how can people connect with you? What's the best way? Where do you want people to go? And we will put all those links in the show notes too, but let us know.
First thing is go listen to the podcast. It's ProjectME, one word, with Tiffany Carter. You can Google it. It's on every single platform. It's a top 15% podcast in the entire world on success, money mindset, entrepreneurship. Go do that. Come say hi to me, DM me on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Take a screenshot of the episode and share it and tag us. You know, I'd love to hear that, you know, you came from Erin's audience and you listen to the episode. It's always good to connect. And if you have any follow-up questions from it, I'm happy to answer them for you. And you'll see all of my stuff and my offerings through those two places.
Awesome. Yes. And please leave me a review. Podcast makers, we need reviews. So tell me what you thought. And while you're at it, leave Tiffany's podcast a review. And it has been a pleasure chatting with you, Tiffany, as always. I know people are going to get so much from this episode, and I just love connecting with you and being your friend. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody.